today's video, I head into the rainy woodland looking for macro photos just like these. It is hammering down with rain, but it's Scotland. If you don't go out in the rain, you don't go out. So I've got a coat on, packed up some gear, and I thought I'd come into the woods and see what I can find. Got these two tiny little snails just clinging to this leaf. I really like it, particularly because there's some distance between the leaf and the background. So if I take this at f2.8, it's going to give me a nice shallow depth of field. That leaf is going to stand out really nicely. f2.8, 640 for my ISO because it's quite dim under here, and that's only giving me a shutter speed of an 80th of a second. The leaves are moving a little bit, so I'm actually going to up that ISO to 1250, so I can bring my shutter speed up to 200th of a second, manually focusing. I'm just going to try this with flash as well. Just wondering if maybe by bringing in my own light, I might be able to make this shot look even nicer. Oh, well, that didn't work. Bring my ISO right back down. Aperture f8. I quite like this. I like how the light is falling on the snails. The only issue I do think I'm having is that because the leaves are wet, it's reflecting all of that light. So the leaf looks really quite bright. Brighter actually than the snails, but I'm hoping that maybe I can play around with that a little bit in post, try and balance those lights. And as I've been shooting here, I've just seen a little fly up here. I'm going to see if I can get a shot. I think because it's quite cold and wet, this fly isn't really going anywhere. So it is giving me the opportunity to try and get this composition. Increased my aperture. Wanted to keep more of it in focus. So I'm actually at f14. So I'm going to boost the power of my light to the 16th. I really like that. So I've got a real moody side light going on. I've talked about this in another video about using off-camera flash. It's not about throwing light everywhere, it's instead about carving out those shadows and treating insects like this as portrait subjects. There's a cute little ladybird here. It's just sort of tucked in some of these little frilly bits of a nettle plant. It's actually quite a nice composition because, again, we've got a lot of separation between where the ladybird is on the leaves and the background. It's also allowing me to get some of the other nettle leaves in the foreground. So if I use a wide aperture like f2.8, they're going to fall into nice out of focus foreground, hopefully going to look really nice. So I'm just slightly adjusting my composition. It is slightly swaying. I'm going to go autofocus. It's okay. I think I'm going to bring my flash back in and to see if I can help bring it out a little bit more. So bring my ISO back down, my shutter speed back down, f8. Way too bright. ISO 100. The rain is really coming down now. I am a little sheltered in this bit, but it's really starting to get everything wet. So I'm going to try and get this ladybird shot as quickly as I can. Like it as a vertical composition, because we've got that trailing plant going down the frame and that ladybird really kind of tucked away. And because we've got quite minimalist lighting, it actually gives I think a kind of candid sense, like it's a private moment. We're seeing this ladybird tucked away in the darkness. Tiny snail, tiny snail, light in close, not in focus, try again. Like this fly, does really feel like it's posing just on the precipice of this leaf. So f13, a 40th of a second. I've manually focused, bring my light in. Oh, it didn't like it. Fair enough, you've moved away. Can I get another? Is it gonna let me? Please let me take your photo. This looks really cool because it's gone side on now. So I've got this view where basically we've got this black background, but it's sort of sitting on this leaf, which means that I can get a lot of it in focus in one shot because my camera is essentially at the same angle as to where the fly is. So I'm manually focused, but at f13 I'm getting quite a lot of it nice and sharp. But I'm bringing my light in, nice and close, and that's giving me a lovely even light across it, almost like it's a studio shot. I'm pretty pleased. Oh, it's on the move. I think probably my last shot of the day then, it's going to be this tiny little mushroom that I found. It's maybe an inch tall at most, very thin, slender stem, little cap that's just got all the nice droplets of water on it. It's just sitting on this log with some of the green moss around it, and I really liked it as a little scene. I'm going to take a few shots here. I'm probably going to take some just using the natural light. I'm going to start off f5, 1/10 of a second, ISO 100. And it's perfectly fine. We've got, the mushrooms in focus, and we've got nice detail around it. And you can see there's a couple of smaller ones nearby. But I'm going to try going up to f11, a 1/6 of a second, and I'm going to bring my flash in. What I'm going to do is actually pop my flash on the log, quite near it. So it's going to be side lighting the mushroom. I'm actually going to take the bold approach, trying to handhold this shot, which is a little difficult here because I'm kind of surrounded by nettles and brambles which are very spiky. I've been stung and spiked already. But I do think it's going to be the only way I can try and get this shot. If I can just move these stinging nettles out of the way. Oh, no, I've been stung again. So, my camera off the tripod, I'm trying to basically get quite low down, almost shooting up at the mushroom so I can see more of the underside of that cap. Because with my light off to one side, that light is firing in, it's lighting up the whole cap. I think it could look really nice as long as I can just get my position as I want it to be. Determined to find a spot where I can properly get my tripod in and actually find a composition and light this as I want to. But yeah, it's proving really tricky. I'm going to try focus bracketing because my hope then is that the camera will automatically move the focus point across the image, hopefully getting the big mushroom in focus and some of the smaller ones. And I can blend those together in Photoshop, hopefully still maintaining that depth of field by not using all of the frames. I think that might be a nicer shot. I think the light just isn't really working for me here. Well, that brings me to an end of today's video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I have actually really enjoyed being out in the rain. I like the rain. It's just a bit difficult when I've got all my camera equipment. But it's totally doable if you've got weather sealed equipment and if you've got carrier bags that you can put over your cameras when the rain gets really bad. And certainly a rainy day shouldn't mean that you have to stay home. If you have enjoyed this video, then do please hit that like button and of course consider subscribing to my channel if you don't already, and I will see you next time.